All right. Well, it looks like my theme music doesn't want to play tonight, but that's okay. Welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm Dr. G, and tonight I have an exciting guest. I am so excited about this guest because it is a departure from what we normally have here on Office Hours with Dr. G. I know you're going to love her. My guest tonight, Renée Marie Adolphe, aka Prandhara Prem, and I can't roll my R's, is an international tantric holistic therapist, relationship and sexuality coach, an ordained interfaith minister, and rebirther who began her journey as a healer more than 23 years ago as a psychotherapist. Her path towards Tantra has been long and never ending. And through her own journey of sexual healing towards wholeness and expanded pleasure, she has come to believe there is a lot more to sex and pleasure than what our culture has been led to believe. Now, growing up with lots of guilt around sexuality as a Christian, as many of us have, Renée always felt she should wait until marriage to have sex, but didn't. This led her to so much guilt and shame that she felt bad about herself and her core. And at the same time, she was suffering from a feeling of a lack of love. She tried to find that love through sex, which created an internal conflict of emptiness and guilt. Now, Tantric helped Renée love herself and find what she was looking for inside of her. And we hope that you're going to do the same thing after listening to her. It helped to release the shame and guilt she had been holding on for so many years. Renée now lives a life of freedom, joy, and love. It has been her mission ever since to help others experience this joy of life with pleasure and sexual freedom. Now, Prandhara Prem was the name given to Renée at, and I may mess this up, but Centro Metamorphosa during her Tantra initiation. It is a Sanskrit name, which means one who goes with the flow of life and love. She truly embodies this name, as all of her life she has gone with the flow of life, and thus bringing her to Brazil, where she makes her home, and has made it her mission to assist others in also going with the flow and opening to love and freedom. Now, I'm going to share a little bit more because she's got a lengthy bio. But Renée earned a master's degree in counseling psychology in the USA in 1999, and in 2013, a postgraduate degree in transpersonal therapy in Brazil. In 2015, she received a certification as a shamanic medicine woman in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And in 2016, the Diva Nishak Tantric Therapist training course, also in Brazil. She received a certification as a tantric therapist and rebirther in 2016, and went on to complete a certified relationship and sexuality coach course in 2018. That same year, she became an ordained interfaith minister, receiving a doctorate of divinity degree through the Universal Life Church. Now I'm going to switch over a little bit, but I'm going to get down to here. Renée is a highly sought after expert whose work has been covered on Fox News, CNN, and Lifetime's Married at First Sight series as the Tantric Couples Therapist, as well as local Brazilian newspapers. She was a weekly guest on the More Better Man show in DC, WOL 1450 AM, Africana Power, 89.3 FM in Atlanta, the Sanctuary Radio show 96.3 FM DC, and several podcasts. Please help me welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G, Renée Adolphe. Welcome, my sister. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you for having me. I was listening to you and I'm like, wow.
It's something when you start to hear people reading off everything. And I didn't read everything. And for some reason, my music didn't play. And everybody loves my theme song. And hopefully we'll get to play it at the end. But I was clicking and clicking. You probably heard the click, and I was like, I give up. I'm just gonna start talking. But I want to say thank you and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. And my viewers, we are, they're coming on. I see you all. Let's show our sisters some love. And I know this is especially for the sisters. I mean, I guess this is for the brothers too, right? Because it is what it is. But you have had such an exciting career. And I'm sure that, like you said, there were parts that were, in the bad times is what spurred you on to learning and studying in the areas that you did, and now are helping so many others. But you have been, I don't even know how I came across you, but when I came across you, there was just something. I was like, I gotta have her on the show. And so I think we talked back in July. Maybe late July. And right, late July. And I'm glad that you decided you said yes, even though it turned out that you're now on vacation. You're in Brazil, but you're not, you are not where you normally are in Brazil. Unfortunately, we were not able to live stream the show tonight on the Facebook page. And I'm hoping that our viewers will all come over to the YouTube side and give us some thumbs up and some likes, and share. Let folks know this is a different but exciting show, because I didn't even say all the things that our sister does. She is a Reiki master teacher. She does acupuncture, iridology. She does so many things. You do a lot of things, but it's that Tantra stuff. It's that taboo to many people to talk about sex and sexuality. And tonight is Tantra, spirituality versus sexuality. So give us a little background about what is Tantra.
Yes, thank you. Wow, it's amazing to be here. Thank you once again. And yes, I'm not at home, so I'm someplace else. So I'm making sure I got to kind of get into this again, because I was like, oh, no work. But this is not work. This is not considered work, and I'm so happy to be here. But Tantra, so it's so interesting, because a lot of times people hear Tantra and they automatically think about tantric sex, because of music or famous people. Sting has made Tantra very famous, but tantric sex. And so honestly, tantric sex is like 5% of Tantra. And Tantra is all about spiritual enlightenment. Tantra is a path, philosophy, just to kind of help you learn how to be more present, help you learn how to be grounded, connected to your body, and how to improve more connections between other people, connections with yourself. And so Tantra actually have so many different meanings. But one of the basic meanings is weave of connections. It means a loom, a weave. Everything is connected. And so it helps us to realize and remember how we're all connected to all of universe, all human beings, all sentient beings, And so a lot of times when you look at religion, through colonization has become to dominate and control us and say, we're born into sin. We can't do this. We can't do that. Right. To reach heaven, you have to live a certain way. But Tantra is like, no, you don't have to do these certain things. You're not born into sin. You are, a spiritual being. You are a creator as well. And you have the ability to create the life that you want. And you can make it into heaven, if you want to call that, or nirvana, whether you're sexual or not, because we're sexual beings. And so that's a little summary of what Tantra is. But Tantra is huge. It's a lot.
I was doing a little study, doing a little research, because I wanted to find out a little bit myself about what was being said, so that I could have an intelligent conversation with you with regard to Tantra. Now I won't say Tantra anymore, Tantra. And I came across the fact that there is like a red Tantra versus white Tantra. Mm-hmm. Can you explain what that is and what the differences are, what they are?
Yeah, so my lineage, we don't really go into that difference, but white Tantra generally, because I'm more of the Neo Tantra, So the white tantra is more about like purity. You have to follow a certain path. No drinking alcohol, no eating meat. Whereas red tantra is like, okay, you can still study tantra, but you can still, drink if you want to. You can still, eat meat if you want to. It's not as strict as the white tantra. But in my lineage, what I study, we don't really separate or kind of go into any of those, if that makes sense.
So you're okay. So I know you recently had a conference, and you told me it was coming up, and of course I wasn't a part of that one. It was a nude conference or something. It was a workshop, or was it a conference, or what was it, a workshop, or
well, I had a nude workshop. I've done so many different things, but recently there was a nude workshop. Yes.
And it was virtual.
Virtual.
And was it co-ed? Were there both male?
Yeah, co-ed. So the interesting thing is that, when I lived, okay, so I'm gonna go a little back first, right? So, I grew up religious, you when you were reading in the bio, my parents are Catholic. And so with that, I've never really been able to express my sexuality, let alone be naked in the house. And I'm very much a person who likes to be comfortable. And the lady that I was working with to organize this workshop also was very much comfortable in being in her nudity, right? And so I noticed that a lot of times it's difficult for people to be nude. And I've had people say to me, I live alone and I can't be nude. Like, it's hard for me to be naked in my house. And that's something that came over time for me. And I'm not gonna lie, a big part of it is because I live in Brazil and it's hot, and most of the times we don't have air conditioner, so it's just like I can't have clothes on. It's too hot in here. But even before, probably that would have been difficult for me, And so this work with Tantra has really helped me to be comfortable in my skin. When I lived in a Tantra commune at Centro Metamorfose, we were naked all the time because we were doing meditations, we were doing tantric massage, we were doing exercises that help us not be affected by being nude, or still being able to work with people whether they're nude or not, which was like a training to help us be able to see someone and not want to go crazy and jump on top of them, So
Right.
now I see naked people and it's like I'm seeing another body. And so it doesn't necessarily turn me on before this training. So I really got used to seeing naked bodies and being naked a lot. And that was just one of the big ways that I got comfortable in my skin, because a lot of time for many, many years, I was like, oh, I'm a little overweight and I wasn't happy with my body. And when I was there and I had to get naked, I'm like, oh my God, these rolls on my stomach, but I got comfortable with that. I got comfortable with who I am. And so this is why I really like to do these different types of workshops. Not all of my workshops are new. Most of them are not. But I do say ahead of time whether it is or isn't, so that way people can make a decision. But it's really about being comfortable in your skin. And usually what happens when I do these workshops, whether they're with men or women, everyone is acting normal. No one is looking, salivating at someone else or acting inappropriately. You begin to realize that a body is a body, and we begin to be comfortable in that. And the same thing happens when I do tantric massage courses. I teach tantric massage, and people are nude. And a lot of times it's strangers giving a massage on another stranger, because I mix people up. And they get to the point where it's by the end of that weekend workshop training, people are completely comfortable touching someone else, completely comfortable being nude. And they realize, all of this stuff that was in our head was just, just created through religion, through culture, through media.
So
and I think, mm-hmm.
Excuse me, so it begins to teach people how to be non-sexual in their approach to dealing with each other. We look back on some of the tribes you see in Africa, where there's a lot of nudity, if you will, but it doesn't appear that anybody's, like you said, salivating after people. It's a natural thing. And so we've been taught, is what you said, the guilt and shame and condemnation has been put on us by religion, and therefore maybe responsible for creating the lust and creating the various crimes, so to speak, sexual crimes and so forth, or dysfunctional mindsets that people have around sex.
It definitely has. It definitely is a part of that. If you look at, like in France, for example, we're going to look at alcohol, right? Where people can drink wine, or here in Brazil, even there's no age limit. I mean, you can be 16 years old, ready to go buy alcohol in the streets, or, your parents can give you wine or whatever. You don't see the abuse that we have, like in the US, where so many people are drunk driving. People are drinking. The kids are sneaking out to drink. Same thing, kids, when you go back to sexuality, kids are sneaking out of their house to go have sex. Anything that we repress is going to amplify. Anything that we can't do, we're going to want to do it more. That's human nature, And so when you start to make this natural thing, sexuality, which is natural, we're all sexual beings. Pleasure is our birthright. When you start saying this is wrong, it's a sin, it creates dysfunctions. It creates people having sexual issues, premature ejaculation, women who don't orgasm. It's huge. There's huge numbers. Over 70% of women don't orgasm. And it's because of that repression and that guilt that women hold on to, And so if you just normalize this and you teach people about sexuality in a normal way, in a natural way, we wouldn't have the dysfunctions. We wouldn't have people raping other people, because a lot of times rape is about control. It is about power and control. And the religion came, excuse me if anyone here is overly religious, but religion came, and I used to be, I was going to church 5 times a week at one point, when I left Catholicism and I became Baptist, I kind of went all in. Bible study, dance ministry, drama ministry, like you name it. Bible study, like everything I was going to. So, but anyway, it's a lot of it has been brought to dominate and control us, because our sexual energy is our most powerful energy. That is our vital life force energy. And that's what helps us learn. When we learn how to channel that energy through Tantra, we learn how to create the life that we want, to create a life of joy, create a life of pleasure, create a life of happiness. And so we don't have anxiety. We don't have as much depression and things like that, so without that, the society can't control us, so it's like, let's keep people depressed, let's keep people sick so they can buy drugs, and then now they have side effects from these drugs, and let's buy other drugs, so that to help them with these side effects. So it's this whole domino effect of things, from dominating and controlling us to keeping us sick and unhealthy, so that we can be controlled as a population. And Tantra's like, no, you deserve to have the life that you want. You deserve to have pleasure. You deserve to have a connection, a higher connection, which is our birthright,
Well, it's interesting that you say what you said, because, when you think in terms of us being created as beings who are sensual beings, I'm not saying sensual beings, and responding to touch, even the cuddle, or just even responding to a heart. I want to say I want to call it a brain connection. When you can, sometimes you could just be with someone who is so deep, and your connection is such a deep. It's not sexual, but it gives you the same almost level of pleasure, or a comparative level of fulfillment, because you have had a meeting of the minds. And so now that I understand that Tantra has something to do with a web or weaving together. So when two hearts, two minds begin to come together and become one, would that then be also considered Tantra.
Yeah, that is a tantric connection and tantric interaction, because the whole point of, not the whole point, but one of the major facets of tantra is about connecting, increasing intimacy and connection between others. So a lot of times what we do, and if anyone saw the episode where I was as a tantric couples therapist on Married at First Sight on Lifetime, it was episode 10, season 10, episode 10. They're now in season 11. But you would see I had the couple do a breathing exercise where they were sitting together and breathing together. So that weaving that you talked about people weaving, is not just for couples. It could be for relatives. It could be you by yourself looking in a mirror. Generally, if you're alone, you can look in the mirror. If you're with a partner or a friend or someone, you're looking into each other's eyes and you're breathing together. And when you're breathing together in that breathing pattern, your brain waves start to connect. Your heart starts to beat at the same rhythm, and you're forming a connection. And so that's one of the major tantric activities that we do with a lot of people, or even with yourself looking in a mirror, because it's very effective, very effective. And again, it is about making stronger connections, improving intimacy, and helping people, even if you're alone. What we would call solo tantra is learning how to love yourself and be more intimate with yourself. And so now going back to what you were saying in terms of us being sensual beings, we are sensual beings. We have six senses: sight, touch, smell, taste. So we have all of these. And so we're sensual beings. There's nothing wrong with being sensual. And because we're sensual beings, that means we should be able to explore pleasure with all of our senses. And so Tantra is also about being able to have pleasure in everything you do, being able to be orgasmic when you eat, being able to be orgasmic with what you're smelling, different scents you have in your house. I'm always lighting incense or essential oils, how you set up your room. I've made my house into an altar. Well, literally, I live in a temple. So my house is literally a temple. But, I teach people as well to make your house a temple, by certain things that you're putting in there, because, always having flowers, making altars and having altars in every room, because then you're stimulating that sight, and it's beautiful. Your home is always clean. So you're connecting to these senses, and you're having pleasure in different senses, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so this pleasure, the sensuality, the sexuality doesn't necessarily mean just from intercourse, penetrative intercourse. There's so many different ways. And yes, we are sexual beings. We come from sex. That's what we come from. You have a male and a female, the egg and the sperm comes together, and that's how we are created. So without sex, we would not be here. We are sexual beings, and it is a natural drive to want to have sex. It is one of our needs. When you look at Abraham's hierarchical needs, Maslow's. So it's who we are. We're sexual beings. We're sensual beings.
What about people who get their gratification, say, from watching other people, like, say, the porn industry? Well, they call it porn. So the porn industry is such a big industry because there are so many people out there apparently that get their gratification from watching other people have sex. Mm-hmm. Now, and some of these people have partners. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they can't or are not making a tantric connection with their self and their partner, and can only get that release, if you will, through watching someone else, would that be considered normal, or would that be? I know it's been created because somebody's making the film and putting it out there for people, feeding a lower desire. But would that be more abnormal than the normal?
Okay, so basically, from the tantric point of view, it's not abnormal. It's normal. It is what it is. You like what you like, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely not anything wrong with what you like. First and foremost. Now, there does exist conscious porn, which is more conscious. So it's If you're going to watch porn, watch conscious porn. Now, I particularly, as a tantric therapist, recommend not watching porn, not because it's abnormal or there's something wrong with you if you're watching it, but because it does take you outside of your body. So you're no longer connected to yourself. You're looking for something on the outside than the inside to get you aroused. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not abnormal. That's okay. But one of the big points with Tantra is about being connected to yourself and learning how to be present and feel what you're feeling within your body. So now there are some men and women as well, but men in particular who have addictions with watching porn and masturbating. And what happens over time is they begin to develop premature ejaculation because they're watching porn, they're masturbating 5, 6, 7 times a day, every day. So they're training their bodies to come quickly. So then when they're in a traditional sexual situation, they're coming in 2 minutes or maybe even less than that, 1 minute, so I definitely say, if that's where you're at, I have men come to me in their 30s, their 40s with premature ejaculation because they've masturbated so much. And again, I'm not saying masturbation is wrong. Nothing wrong with masturbation. It becomes an issue if you're doing it so much, and it's that it begins to hurt your body. Women, I tell women all the time, masturbate every day if you want to. We need to more. Because women, on the opposite end of men, we're taught not to masturbate. We're taught not to touch yourself. This is wrong. This is bad. And that's a huge part of the problem where women don't even know their bodies. Women don't know their vulva. First and foremost, most women call the vulva vagina as opposed to vulva, and don't realize that the vagina is the vaginal canal, that entrance. And then, like, when I teach women courses about, and I include the anatomy. Women don't know what the skin gland is. For those of you who are like, I don't either. The skin gland, for example, is a gland that's just under to the side of the urethra, where the female ejaculation comes from. And yes, women ejaculate. I have so many women who don't even realize that that's a thing. They're like, no, it's peeing, or no, that doesn't exist. Yes, women do ejaculate. So that's one of the things. For example, there's a Bartholin gland. So there's so many different things that I teach women that they don't know. The Bartholin gland is the gland that's responsible for moisture to when you're lubricated, to help you, when you're getting aroused, to get you wet. So, in my courses, I'm teaching women the anatomy. I'm teaching them what to do to be more connected to their bodies. And once they're connected, it helps with orgasms, So it's just it's so many things that we just don't learn when we're in school. We're not taught, or we don't even talk about. And so it just interferes in our life,
Yeah, this is not a conversation that you generally hear, but like I said,
Right.
and I'm hoping that what it does is, for those people who are like yourself, who whatever they felt or been feeling around sexuality, they've been feeling shame along with it, that they would become, comfortable, like I said, in their own skin and with their own sexuality. And I'm assuming, and you haven't said it so exactly, but because you're saying spirituality versus sexuality, but that there is a connection. Maybe there is a connection with that. I mean, we talk about Kundalini. You hear a lot of stuff about the activation of the Kundalini and so forth. And I've heard that spoken of in relationship to some type of a connection or a sexual nirvana. Can you expound on whether I'm making sense or not?
Yeah, you're making sense. So the Kundalini energy we work with in Tantra, right? The Kundalini energy everyone has. And so the Kundalini energy is our sexual energy, which means our vital life force energy, right? So if you look at what the Kundalini is, it's a serpent. And what you're talking about, that serpent that intertwines, that goes up our spine. Now, if you look at in the medicine world, a traditional doctor, you go to any hospital, what is the logo in a hospital?
That caduceus, yeah.
Right. So that tells you it's all connected. Like Tantra says, everything is connected. So even in the medicine world, We know that our sexual energy is our vital life force energy. They know that our sexual energy is what heals us, right? And so, when we're looking at spirituality, the spirituality is helping us to connect to a higher power, connect to higher being, connecting to the divine that's within us. So we were created, if you so to speak, in God's image, in Goddess's image. We were created in that image, so we have the ability to create. We have the ability we were here to create, and whether we're creating another life or creating art or creating poetry, whatever it is, we're creators. We're co-creators in this world. So we can also create, manifest different things that we want, but we're not taught that. We're not taught how to channel that energy. So as opposed to saying religion, that you have to do this, you have to, there's this way. No, it's about spirituality, connecting to all of the universe, connecting to all beings, connecting to earth, connecting to the elements. And that's what I love about Tantra. A lot of this work is connecting to the earth, to water, to air, to fire, and seeing how all of those things help to heal us. So for example, fire transmutes. And so fire is our third chakra in that solar plexus, right? So a lot of times in my work, I'm talking about, okay, let's breathe into that third chakra, the solar plexus, and let's connect to that fire. Let's allow that fire to transmute your fears, transmute the traumas, transmute the blockages. And we're doing breath work to do this. And so a lot of times when we're doing like tantric meditations, tantric work, it gets really intense because the breath work is just so intense. And so people go through healing processes so profound that they hadn't gone through just doing years and years of therapy. And this is one of the things that I love about this, because, like you said, and when you were reading my bio, I started off as a psychotherapist, and I had a private practice for so long, and nothing bad about psychotherapy. It works. It's good. It takes a lot longer, but Tantra complements psychotherapy, because through doing this work, through doing the body work, it helps to release those traumas that's in that body. So our bodies have cellular memory. So it holds on to all of the traumas, the repression, the guilt from our parents, from our grandparents, from our ancestors, or even just from ourselves, from, anything that happened. And so through doing breath work or body work like tantric massage, we're releasing those traumas, we're releasing those guilt. And so when we're doing traditional psychotherapy, we stay more in our mind, and we're talking, and we're getting realizations and like those aha moments. But it's not until we do the body work that those aha moments that we got, those things can actually leave the body. And so that's why the two complement each other so well. I think I've gone off on a whole nother.
No. You're right on point.
Okay.
I'm just kind of looking to see if there are any questions. Here, there is a question, or was it a comment? Let me see. Oh, it's a question. Massive God Squad says, can porn be a teaching tool when learning how women can orgasm and climax nonstop?
No. Only because so many people go to porn to learn. Do not go to porn to learn.
Because it's not realistic.
It's not realistic. It's fake. Women do not enjoy that stuff. I'm not saying no one does. There's a few. But no, you are not learning how to turn a woman on. You're not learning how to satisfy a woman. And a lot of the times, you're doing all of that stuff you learn from porn, and the woman is faking it. She's like, because she doesn't want to make you feel bad. So she's just like, and then in her mind thinking, is it done yet? Are we over yet? I wish she hurry up and come, because she's not really enjoying it. Yeah. So so it's no. It's best for you to read a book on Tantra, learn about Tantra, take a course, whatever. Ask your woman first and foremost. The most important thing is communication. So asking your partner what feels good to him or her. Do you like this when I do this? What feels better to you? Have that communication, explore different things, and let me tell you, first and foremost, for women, it takes us at least 20 minutes for our bodies to get warmed up and ready for sex. Not 2 minutes, not 3 minutes, at least 20 minutes. So you really need to do more to prepare her body to start. And, not saying don't ever do quickies again. Quickies are fine too, but the woman's body need more time to prepare. And so women, you also need to understand your body so that you can express what feels good to you, what you like, which means you have to masturbate. And a lot of time women have a hard time masturbating because of the guilt, because of the things that stay in your head. So it's like, going and releasing those, working on those things one by one, little by little, to release that guilt and start connecting to yourself, start connecting to your body.
What about, unfortunately, so many people have experienced traumas throughout their, say, childhood, where they may have been touched, molested and so forth, and has caused them to develop various phobias and so forth with regard to sex and sexuality because of the early trauma that they experienced. Do you work with people who may be dealing with early abuse that may cause them to be inhibited, and they don't want to be inhibited, but they are, because they've got this thing like, when somebody touched me, it was Uncle Tommy. Forgive me if your name is Tommy out there, but you know what I mean. Somebody touched me, and it's left a stain in my, in my sexuality. Put a dent there, put a pause there, and has not allowed the person to, fully enjoy sex with another person without reliving this trauma. So do you work with people who gone through things such as that to bring them to some level of wholeness or healing?
Yes. Yes. Majority of my clients have had some form of abuse in their lives. And I'm going to say the numbers are high for women who have been abused, and even higher for Black women, or women of color. And so majority of the times I have men or women, because men get abused as well. So, a lot of the times people don't even remember that they were abused, and so, but they have a blockage, something going on with their relationships, and they come to me, and sometimes a memory comes to them, or depending on a certain touch, they're like, "Ooh, I just had a flashback." So sometimes things like that come. Sometimes more recently, I've had a lot of women come to me that had some form of abuse that they didn't realize was abuse, but they started watching. I don't know if you've heard of this series, I May Destroy You. That's from the UK. So there's a series called I May Destroy You, and it's based on a real life. This lady who was date raped, who was given a date rape drug, and then, but it showed many different things about when she was having sex, and the guy took off the condom without asking her, which happens. 9 out of 10 women have had that happen to them. And so, yes, that is a rape, because the woman did not consent to you taking off the condom. And so a lot of times I have had more women come to me after watching I May Destroy You, saying that they realized they were in a situation where they didn't give consent, for something. And so it's very common, very common. And so a lot of the work I do, a lot of, one of my specialties is in trauma, even as a psychotherapist before doing this work with Tantra. So, but I love the fact that the body work, the breath work helps to release those traumas that's within the body. So if you come to me, for example, because you've been sexually abused or have some type of trauma, the Tantra will work for that. Now, I do want to say, especially for the women, but men and women, if you do want to do work with a tantric therapist, please, 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 please don't just choose anyone. Don't just look online and say, okay, I'm going to go and do a session. There's many, many, many different tantric therapists, just like priests, pastors, different types of healers who takes advantage of people. There's many who have had sex with their clients, saying this is the way to heal them. So don't take this lightly. Go to someone that you trust. Go to someone who's been recommended to you. Ask questions. Ask how they work. ask as much as you want to ask to feel completely comfortable before you start going to do this healing work with a tantric therapist, if you choose to, or a sex therapist or a sex coach. Just like you should do with the psychotherapist or anyone that you're going to be going to, that you're going to be making yourself vulnerable and putting your trust into them.
If there is, say, a couples that whose relationship may be under stress, if you will, or under, there may be having problems based on the fact, and I'm going back to our earlier conversation, say porn is the factor, and it's causing, like you said, a premature ejaculation on the part of the man. So he's never really pleasing the woman. He's never really pleased with the woman because he gets this visual, he gets this visual satisfaction between his hand and what he sees, and his wife or his partner doesn't look like or doesn't stimulate him that way. Do you have couples come to you that you're able to heal those addictions or the behavior, so that you can bring them back together on to a relationship of mutual satisfaction and gratification? Is that something that's able to be done?
Yes, for sure, for sure. And I love it, and I smile because I love working with couples. I really do. It's so gratifying. But that is something I definitely do, as well as a lot of times, I have a lot of times where women will say, I just don't want to have sex with my partner anymore because, the only time he touches me is to have sex, and so when I do this work, a lot of times the women are like, oh my God, I now want to have sex with him. I'm not saying I have a headache anymore, coming up with these excuses, and so a lot of the work is with the couples, teaching them how to connect, teaching them how to meet each other midway. And I love teaching couples tantric massage, tantric rituals, because these rituals help to prepare the woman to be ready. And so by the time the man is doing so much for her. So first and foremost, we can help men with premature ejaculation. You don't have to take Viagra anymore or Cialis. Just doing tantric massage and tantric breath work, that will help you 100% with premature ejaculation. But let's say you still have premature ejaculation. I teach so many different things that you can do to your woman or your partner, could be male as well. That I teach you so much that you're completely preparing her body and helping her to feel good. She's stimulating. She's probably had tons of orgasms. So by the time you have sex, she's in a great place, and then if you only last 2 minutes, is all good, but she's already satisfied. So you learn so many different things that she's going to be happy and satisfied no matter what. So yeah. And I absolutely love working with couples, because so many couples come to me and it's just like, the love life is dying down, or they haven't had sex in like a year or months or 2 years. I actually had one couple who hadn't had sex in 5 years. And I'm just like, you're young. You cannot go without having sex for 5 years or so long. Like, no. So I truly enjoy teaching different things and helping them kind of get back to normal or better than normal. Most couples get better than normal, better than what they were when they came to me or when they first got together.
Here's a question. Atoya Aries Moon says, what are some practical ways to practice Tantra on the date today?
Oh, that's a great question. So really, I have so many people come to me. They're like, I want to be tantric. I want to have a tantric life. What do I do? Meditation, breath work. Those are like the big things, like everyday meditation and breath work, because that's going to help you in your day to day with how you respond to different things. That's going to help you with becoming more present, more in control of yourself, more grounded, So that's a big one. Now, everyone who's tantric has their own typical way of what a day-to-day is for them. On a day-to-day, I am mostly vegetarian. So Again, I don't really follow like what Dr. G had brought up, the white or the red tantra. Like if you're following the white is like completely vegetarian, whatever. Um, I guess I would say I'm more red, but yeah. So I'm mostly vegetarian, but sometimes sometimes I eat meat. Like I love meat. So I'm not gonna be like I'm turning vegetarian or vegan. Um, but I eat it every once in a while. The thing is that meat, if you're eating so much meat, it brings you down. It makes you more dense. It's dense energy. And so the thing to live a daily tantric lifestyle, you want to be lighter. You want to vibrate higher. So there's tons of different things that you can do to help you vibrate higher, like the meditation and doing breath work. But the food does make a difference too. Alcohol does make a difference as well. So the more you drink, the heavier your energy is. So on a day to day, it's very rare that I drink alcohol. Friday's my birthday, so I'm gonna be drinking all weekend long, So like that's gonna happen. But for the most part, I can go a month without drinking, 2 months without drinking, 3 months without drinking is no big deal. Like I'll drink on an occasion. So that's the biggest things. Some tantric people do yoga, have a regular tantra yoga routine. So you could do yoga daily, or you could do yoga 2 to 3 times a week, meditation daily, or 2 to 3 times a week. I'm not one of those people who are like strict. You have to do it this way. You got to do this, this, and this, because that just puts on too much pressure, and then you end up not doing it at all. So it's like, okay, the most important is being conscious, being aware of who you are, doing the most that you can. And eventually you begin to have your own routine, like brushing your teeth, doing your hair. I don't have hair, so I can't say that. But whatever it is, brushing your teeth, doing your hair in the morning, then it becomes that routine, so so that's kind of what I do.
So do you now, with everything being done virtually, if you will, are you still seeing clients and seeing your couples via, say, Zoom or whatever, StreamYard or something are you using, so that people can still connect with you and get the benefit of your work? You'll teach the breath work and all of that. And now, can you teach the massage not being present? Oh, okay.
Do everything online. So it's so interesting because prior to pre-COVID, everything was in person. So I travel a lot, and literally I've done workshops in Bali, in Thailand, in the US, different states within the US, in Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Bolivia, Peru, everywhere. In Europe, I've done in Ireland and in London, so I've worked all over. And literally people were like, oh, we want to continue with you. And I was like, I'm sorry, I only when I come back here, and I was so against doing anything online. I was like, it's not the same. It's not going to work, and thanks to COVID, I realized that it does work. And I remember the first workshop I did online, and I was leading people through a breathing meditation. And everyone was like, oh my God, this was intense, because we're working with energy, right? And so the energy doesn't know distance, it doesn't know time. So, and when we're doing the work, you're going to feel it. And they felt it. And I was like, wow. So I kept doing it. I've been doing online one-to-one sessions. I do tantra courses. I actually have a tantra course starting October 5th. It's a 4-week course. And this is actually a basics on breath work. So I'm going to be teaching breath work. And that's the foundation, so that you can learn how to channel your energy, so that you can manifest different things. That's a foundation to help keep you grounded, so, that information is on my website. So, yes, I teach tantric massage online, like everything. And the results are the same. The only thing that I can't do is actually tantric massage the way that I was doing it. Now, there is a tantric massage you could do where you're working with the energy to help sublime the energy up, moving that energy up. But other than that, everything else, everything you could typically do online. But one of the things I have done with people who need tantric massage, I teach them to do self tantric massage. So I'm working with them and I'm teaching them that, and that's been really, really great.
No, that sounds fabulous. But I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful that, in that there is someone like yourself, and I guess there are others, but we know who you are, that is able to touch what would for many be a touchy or taboo subject, that of one's sexuality. A lot of times people don't feel at liberty to talk about how they feel sexually. And it is interesting when you think in terms, we all do come here as a result of sex. Sex is what, is the mechanism by which, unless you're made in a test tube, it was sex that brought us here. But yet it's been so vilified to the fact, like you said, to the point where people, the things that you hide or try to make, taboo, the more people want to, in a bad way, if you will, sometimes to partake in something. And so when you take the wrapper, so to speak, off it, not saying that it's open to children or anything like that to talk about, but in mature adults, to be able to talk about the things that, even like you said, a woman so much as telling a man what she needs, what does it take, or vice versa. I mean, no, let me back up. Men normally don't have a problem telling women what they want,
Right.
whether they get it or not. So,
Right.
but women tend not to. Women tend to be just like, okay, receivers. You know what I mean? Receivers of instead of instructors.
Right.
And that's why, and I've never. This is not my testimony, but this is why I've heard some women saying, "Oh, that's why I like women, because a woman knows what a woman likes." And a man should know. A man should be able to know what a woman likes, and a woman should be able to know what a man likes without having to go the other way. I mean, if that's your pleasure, fine. But a lot of times, for lack of not instructing or being able to be open about one's sexual desires, then you settle, and then there's frustration. And then other things, you know what I mean? Then somebody's going outside the relationship or resorting to porn or something. And then, as you said, porn is normally accompanied by masturbation, especially when it's men. And that does affect their real life relationships with real women, because that stuff is fantasy. That's not real.
Right.
These are actors, and you're being last week, my guest said you've been mind effed, and so you're out of your fortune. Well, you've been mind effed.
Right.
You might as well have on a pair of those virtual reality goggles that, and it's like all in your mind, because it's not anywhere.
Right.
But we need to be able to talk about this, and and then the other thing I want to bring up is the fact that we are, when you get to certain ages, at what age is too old to be in touch with your sexuality? I'm 65, for instance. You know what I mean? There are people.
You look great. Oh, love it. Yes.
But I'm just saying, at what is there an age? I mean, is there a time when somebody should say, "Oh, I'm over the hill," or and if they are over the hill, can they get back over?
They can, as long as they want to. As long as they want to. So, one of the big things about Tantra is very big on rejuvenation. So, a lot of the early tantrics were using tantric techniques to be younger, to live longer, right? So, for women, example, in many tantrikas have certain techniques, certain exercises that they do to stay younger and to keep their energy, their vital life force going, right? So there's specific exercises to do to reabsorb the menstrual blood, so you're not losing menstrual blood, because there's two ways that we lose energy. One for women is through menstrual blood, and for men through ejaculation. Now, let's not confuse this. You lose energy. It does not mean menstrual blood is dirty or horrible. No, it's a life-giving. There's a lot of nutrients in it. There's a lot of protein in it. There's a lot of health in it. And there's a lot of people who actually, even in the tantric world, traditionally who actually drink their menstrual blood to give life back to themselves or to rejuvenate themselves. There's different tribes within different countries within Africa where the medicine women give blood to people who are sick and are dying, because it gives life. That menstrual blood is to give life, right? That's part of the process when you're going to get pregnant. You don't get pregnant, so the menstrual blood comes out. So it's very healthy. And so what a lot of tantrikas do is they do specific techniques to reabsorb the blood, and they end up not having their menstrual cycle, or if they do, they drink it. But it's a lot easier to just do the different exercises, in my opinion, because I haven't gotten there where I could drink my blood yet. I've almost.
I don't have any to drink.
Right, there you go. That's why you're a wise woman. Wise woman. Now I do give it to my plants, and that is a way of because we're all connected. When I give my blood to the plants, it does help to ground me and help keep me connected to earth elements, right? Now for men, they lose their energy through ejaculation. And so there's a lot of different exercises to keep you from ejaculating or in ejaculating, where it's similar, where you're reabsorbing the ejaculation or semen retention. And those are two big techniques to help you stay young and energized. And so if you're living a tantric lifestyle, and you're doing specific things, you're going to have tons of energy. You're going to feel great, which means at 70 years old, 80 years old, you can still have an active life and you can still have desire for sex. It doesn't need to die down. And now people who have lost it's just a simple thing of, okay, let's get you back. Let's do these exercises. Let's do these meditations. Let's do these breath work so that we can get you to the point where your energy is back up again, because it's all energy. It's our vital life force energy. So as long as we're living, that energy is there, so it can definitely be reactivated, ignited.
Is there any connection between one living a tantric life and maybe being able to avoid some of the illnesses and diseases that people, as we age, a lot of times, there's certain debilitations that sometimes comes, dementia, there are other things in the body that begin to break down. Would living a tantric lifestyle prevent or slow down the process of or the, I don't know what you would call it, but those things occurring in one's body? Would that be a prohibitor? Inhibitor, rather.
Yeah. Well, that's and that goes right back to the rejuvenation, right? That's the whole point of that, to prevent dementia or prolong it, but really to prevent it, And so when you're living a tantric lifestyle, doing yoga daily, meditating, breath work, watching what you eat, what you're drinking, you're going to be healthier. You can't not be healthier, right? And so it prevents a lot of things that we get because of stress, that we get because of hormonal imbalance. So when we're doing these specific techniques with Tantra, like for example, I forgot to say one of my routines, I do breast massage and ovary massage as well daily. Except for when I'm on my cycle. So, that's something as well. So when we're doing these different things and we have these routines, then it's helping to our hormones to be balanced, to be healthy. It's increasing the oxytocin levels, which is the feel-good hormone. So it helps us to feel good, be happy, not be depressed. It decreases the cortisol levels, which helps to decrease our stress levels. So with all of those things, those are the cortisol, the stress, the depression, those are things that make us sick. And so with all of those things in check, then it's easier for us to not get sick. It's easier for us to not have different issues, and that's one of the things when COVID came about. We live in such a fear-driven society in the US where everything is like, you're going to catch this and you're going to die. You should be afraid. And we got to get the vaccine, as opposed to them saying, let's build up your immune system. Let's do yoga. Let's do breath work. one of the things immediately I started doing when this came out I was leading free meditation classes on my Instagram, which is Prandhara Prem _Tantra. I was giving free meditations and showing people how to expand the diaphragm. And, I was doing movements to expand that and open that, because the COVID was about the lungs. It was attacking the lungs. So let's expand. Let's strengthen the diaphragm. Let's strengthen the lungs. So I was teaching specific techniques to strengthen the lungs and expand it. Certain movements through yoga. Let's do breath work, strengthening our capacity, right? So these are things that help prevent you from catching COVID, right? Who's more susceptible to catch COVID or any other type of illness? Someone who has a weakened immune system, someone who has a lot of stress. I mean, this is just basic biology, right? The more stress you have, the worse your immune system, the easier it is for you to catch a cold, the easier it is for you to catch a virus. So if you're doing these things, like living a Tantra lifestyle with the breath work, the meditation, the yoga, these different things, it's going to help boost your immune system to prevent you from getting sick or viruses or anything like that. It's going to do, again, like I said, decrease the cortisol levels, increase the oxytocin levels. So, it definitely helps to prevent many different things that can be prevented,
I'm just looking at them, trying to see what the comments are. There might be a question. Here's a question. Why can a woman go longer, massive question, why can a woman go longer without sex than a man can?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say women can actually go longer without sex than a man. Both women and men, it depends on the individual. There's some men that can go a long, long time. I actually have I have some couples that I work with where the woman has a higher sex drive than the male. So I wouldn't necessarily say that's a biological thing that women can go longer than men. So it depends on the individual and it depends on your conditioning. So if you were conditioned to think that sex is bad and all of these different things on you, then in the back of your mind, not even realizing it, you're thinking sex is bad and you shouldn't do it, which changes into, oh, I'm fine without sex. And then you can just go on without it. But once you do all of that work and you work through those traumas, the repression, the guilt, all of those different things, your sex drive goes up and you might want it every day, So it's not an innate, it's not necessarily something that I would say, like for me, for example, I've always had a very high sex drive, but I was like, no, I can't. I got to wait till I get married and all of this. But I wanted to have sex every day. And once I finally did, I became a nymph. It was like I wanted it 5 times a day. And my first boyfriend that I actually had sex with, he was like, I can't. And I was like, what's wrong with you? What do you mean you can't? Like, I wanted it more than him. And he was like, I'm hurting. I can't anymore.
Somebody has a question. Can sex be an addiction?
Yes, sex can be an addiction. And I'm not speaking from experience because I don't have an addiction with it, but it can. I just loved it. I love it, and I still love it. But yes, sex can be an addiction. I do know people who have had an addiction to sex, and I've had to work with them through that. Yeah, so it definitely can.
I just recently saw, kind of off subject, just a little bit, a video of a former pastor who's now, who kind of rejects rejects Christianity and so forth, and he is in a polyamorous. Is that polyamorous? Mm-hmm. Is it called polyamorous?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I'm not sure whether
multiple women.
He has 2 women.
Okay.
He has 2 women who share his. He said that the main reason for their coming together was, well, he was the one he's married to, quote unquote, legally, and they've been separated for many years, and then he started dating another woman, and he decided he wanted to go into this what's it called?
Polyamorous. Now the women are also have other men?
No, they just have him, but they're not bisexual. they have their, each has their time. They do things together, but not sexual things.
Okay, so then it's polygamy. So he's a
Is it
polygamist.
polygamy? All right, it's polygamy because they're not, the women don't, they said,
Okay.
he said they sometimes sleep together in the same bed because he says sometimes he needs both their energies, but it's not a sexual time. They're just sleeping and he's in between them because he needs that strength or the energy that they bring.
I want that with 2 men.
Hey,
I would love that. I'm listening to you. I'm like, my bed is big enough.
I sent the link for that video I saw.
Yes, please do.
No, but it was interesting. I was wondering what your take of that. So the difference between polygamy.
I think you know my take now, since I said I want that. No,
Okay.
I'm just joking. But I am more monogamous, but I have been in polyamorous relationships. So I have been in relationships with multiple men, and the men have been with other women too. So I have been in that. For me, particularly, my nature is more of a monogamous nature. I prefer to be one-on-one in a relationship, but it depends on that relationship. Now, I definitely believe that relationships are fluid, and so and people are fluid. So at one point, maybe you might want to be in just a monogamous. Another time, you might want to be in a polyamorous or polygamous. You know, um, so I don't personally feel like I would say one is wrong or don't do it. Go with the flow. I mean, if you're in a specific place, then do that. But the most important thing is having that communication. And so the first time I actually entered into a polyamorous relationship, it was a guy who was actually my neighbor, and I was quite interested in him, and I let it be known, and he let me know he was interested in me. But he was like, from day one, he was like, look, I gotta let you know I'm polyamorous. I'm not gonna be with just you, and you could be with other people. And I was like, okay, well, he's kind of fine. So yeah, I'm willing to try this. And so I went in and it was cool. And I realized that it actually helped me to work on my jealousy issues. And so, because I used to be very possessive, very jealous. Um, and I got to see that him liking someone else didn't take away how he felt from me, you know. Um, and so that was huge. And then I also ended up doing like getting into another relationship that I'm so surprised I would have done that I did. And most people don't, but I ended up being in another after that polyamorous relationship with a guy who was bisexual. And it was that similar thing. Sometimes he wanted feminine energy, other times he wanted masculine energy. And I went into it because it was the same thing. I was like, we were friends first, and I really started to fall for him. And I was like, damn, I'm already in love with him. So I was like, okay. So I was like, I respect the fact that you're open and honest with me because you're giving me the choice. And there's a lot of times that people are in relationships with someone, they don't even know the guy's bi or gay in the closet. And so I was like, well, he's giving me that choice. And so I appreciated that. And so anytime I'm in a polyamorous relationship, I'm taking my precautions, using protection every single time. And I prefer that than not knowing, and anything could happen. And so for me, I felt like those situations helped me to grow and learn more about myself. So I'm happy I got into those situations, those relationships, to grow, expand myself. And yeah, so that's where I'm at now.
Here's a question or comment. Atoya, the Aries Moon, says, I don't get the point. How is polyamory any different from just having multiple sexual partners or casual relationships?
It's different because you're in relationship, so it's not casual. So again, I'm not an expert on polyamorous. As I said, I'm monogamous, and those were my two experiences. But they're relationships, so you're not just going out and having sex. So there's a connection. So if you want to just go out and have sex, you could just go out and have sex and just say, okay, I'm single, or we're dating. That's a whole different thing. But when you're in a polyamorous relationship, it is a full-blown relationship. So you can have 2 or 3 men or women, and um, theoretically, they should all have the same thing. So if I'm going out with this person, or I'm treating this person a certain way, spending this amount of money in this person, you should be doing that on all the people that you're with. Like, they should all kind of be at an equal level. But obviously that is really, really difficult to do. But you got to do the best that you can with those different relationships. Sometimes one person might require more than another. So again, it all flows, and the relationship flows, the times it flows. So you just have to see, one moment one person might need more attention, the next moment that same person might need less. So you just go from there.
Well, yeah. I mean, the particular person I was, speaking of, they were talking about from the standpoint of building, and that he was talking about both of the women. Everybody's got businesses. They see themselves as a business, but he has love for both of them. One apparently was his it's still his wife, I guess, and the other was his girlfriend that he started dating after he'd been separated. But it was the girlfriend that said, if you're going to go into this, when he approached it to her, brought it to her, then I'd rather it be the mother of your children. Somebody else.
When you think about it, honestly, not one person can meet all of your needs. Not one person can give you every single thing that you want. So if you're in a polyamorous relationship, truth be told, so one partner is going to give you exactly what you want here. You might have one partner who the sex is so damn good, you're like, oh my God, but I can't have a great stimulating conversation with him. Then you have a partner who you have a great stimulating conversation, but the sex is just okay. So, you got 2 partners. Now you're happy, right? You got both of what you really want. So those are just little examples, right? There's more specific things, but just keeping it lighthearted. But there's just, not everybody can satisfy everything that we want and that we need. So I'm not saying to go out and be polyamorous. Like I said, again, I'm more monogamous. But I do know, when I have been in those polyamorous relationships, that it was great. It was great because I was able to have different people that met different needs for me, So, yeah.
Let me just see if there are any more comments. It's a good kind of, let's see. Where is this in poly? We're okay. If you're going to be monogamous, okay. So some things are just not, doesn't make sense to, let me just switch a little bit. Let's just switch up the topic. I went to the eye doctor today, and I had my pupils dilated. And I see. So if I'm bucking my eyes, it's because they're still dilated.
Okay.
You are besides being a relationship couples therapist, and so forth, you are a Reiki master teacher. Change the energy. I can't read one thing without these glasses. You are a Reiki master teacher. You do ear acupuncture.
Ear acupuncture.
Right, which is a stress reliever.
Yes.
Okay, and of course you can't do that virtually. You have to go to Brazil to get that done. Central Amexa. But you also do iridology. Is it Ira or
iridology? It's so interesting. Actually, I don't know how you would pronounce it in the States. I learned this in Brazil, and we called it iridologia. So in English, I say iridology. So
that's what it is.
Yeah. So, but it might also depend on where you're from in the States and your accent. Some people might say iridology, but no, I think it's iridology. Yeah.
And what is that? I know what it is, but for the benefit of those who may not know, what do you do? It's a diagnostic tool?
Yeah, it's a diagnostic tool. So you read the iris of someone, and it's actually really, really great. I love using this with work because it gives you so much. So our bodies is amazing. So our hands, our feet, and our ears, right, has all the reflexology points. So you have all the organs. So the same thing with the eyes. Now the hands, the feet, and the ears, we can manipulate whether with the seeds, the needles, massage to heal those organs, release different emotions that's there, and really heal us. Now the eyes, obviously, the iris you can't touch and manipulate, but when you read it, you can see if there's something wrong, right? So because I work with Tantra, we're gonna go down here at the 6th point, right? You have the vagina, you have the genitals. Let's say the genitals. So if I'm looking at that based on what marks that they have there, I can tell you if there's something wrong. So for example, I had a lady that came to me just for traditional regular Reiki healing session. And I did the iridology reading, right? That got stuck in my mind. So I did the iridology reading on her, and I saw something going on there, and I was like, so then it gave me something to ask more questions, and I said, well, how's your menstrual cycle? And she started talking about it, and I was like, do you have any pain? Does it clot? And I started asking, and I was like, okay, well, sounds like something is going on here. I recommend that you go see your doctor, for your gynecologist, for an exam. She went to go see the gynecologist, and she was like, Renee, oh my God. She was like, she had fibroids or something like that. This was like 6, 7 years ago, something like that. So I don't remember exactly, but it was something like that. She came back. She was like, yeah, there was something wrong. And I was like, so I could see that. And that's a nice thing. So with the iridology, you can actually see if there's any issues. Like you said, it's a diagnostic tool. But it doesn't replace going to the doctor or anything like that. But you can see some things and then make recommendations and say, okay, I recommend you having this test, because sometimes things are asymptomatic, right? And so there might be a mark there showing something in your eyes, but you might not be feeling anything. So it can be really good to help prevent you from getting worse or something like that.
And that's
Yeah, I don't know how common iridology is in the States.
yeah.
Yeah, it's common. Okay.
Well, I mean, there were normally, holistic practitioners that, that do that. I know one in particular that does that. Now I've had him on the show, brother Dave, but he's one that does does that.
Iridology.
Reads the eyes, iridology. So, but it's not like lately. What wasn't as common, and we finally got one here where I am, is having a place to go, say, for colon therapy, irrigations and therapies, because your gut health is becoming like a big deal now.
Oh my God, so many people with colon cancer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we don't pay attention, and a lot of it is because so much garbage has gone in, and it stays there. We don't realize it doesn't move, and so it's in our, like, I don't know how many feet they say our intestines cover, but you've got stuff in there that's becoming putrid and rotten and whatever, depending, especially if you eat certain, like you said, if you're not eating fresh, like fruits and vegetables, and eating healthy, or your diet is just was the typical standard American diet, the SAD diet, and you're eating a lot of meat, you're eating a lot of starches and things like that, that stuff starts to clog the pipes up, and eventually, it has to do something. It eats a hole in your.
Right. And that's why it's so important to do fasting. So occasionally I'm doing fasting where I'm just drinking juices. And one of the things I love here about being in Brazil, I started doing, is making my fruit juices. I do not buy store-bought juice anymore. Whenever I go back to the States and I'm drinking it, like, I can't even drink that orange juice or apple juice. Like, it just doesn't taste like apple juice or orange juice. So I use my blender or my magic bullet. I'm cutting up the apples and I'm making fresh apple juice. Sometimes I mix the apple and pear, and I make, pear apple juice. I make my freshly squeezed orange juice. And, I'll do my fast. I'm drinking juices, freshly squeezed juices. coconut water, and giving my body a chance to really just detox,
Is it probably good at least maybe once a week or so to fast, to do a fast, like just abstain from eating, just maybe do a liquid, like you said, juice fast, or some people just do water.
Well, what I learned is to do for every season. So generally, a season lasts every 4 months. So every like 4 months, I'm doing a fast, and it'll be like 2 or 3 days.
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months, yeah. Yeah. So I'm doing a fast, and I'll do it like 2 to 3 days. Sometimes I might do a week. It just depends on what I need, what I feel. So, but yeah, it's definitely so good. It's so good.
Let me see if we have any more questions and comments. We're doing good. We were, you weren't sure how long we were going to be able to do the interview because you're on your hotspot of your phone because you're not at home.
So the internet gods are working with us. The minute you say this is going to go out, right? You're like, jinx us.
Okay. Here's a question. What Matthew Lawrence says, I would like to know why, we'll go back to the sex question, why most women at their 40s sex drive slow. I think he's saying I am 51. Sex is high because of my wife's desire. Wait a minute, because of his wife's desire. Second marriage of 23 years. Not sure exactly what he means, except why do most women's sex drives go down in their 40s? And I guess he's saying he's 51 and his is up. So is it connected to age?
Mm-hmm. So, they say that women's sexual peak is at 35, and they say for men it's 17. That's what the traditional scientists say. But generally speaking, that is something that doesn't have to be. So again, when we're looking at the stigma, when we're looking at how women are conditioned, that becomes the issue where the sex drive is less, and where it goes back to that other question that the woman said, why women could go, longer without sex than men. All of that comes in with the conditioning, with the way women were raised. Like, don't do this, don't do that, can't have sex, all of these different things. So that creates blockages within us. And then on top of that, in terms of with the age, one of the things that have been lost over time is women doing Kegel exercises, women doing yoni steam baths. So all of these different things affect women where the sex drive goes down, as well as not masturbating. So a woman who is masturbating regularly, doing yoni steam baths, doing Kegel exercises, her sex drive is not going to go down in her 40s or 50s. She's going to still have a high sex drive well up into her 60s, 70s, and can have sex every day and get nice and wet, be nice and juicy for you. So it's just a matter of the lifestyle.
I'm acting crazy. There's a part that someone wants to know what your birth sign is. That you're asking.
So I want that person to guess what my birth sign is. The person who asked, guess, and then I'll correct them.
Joanna, it's a female, is asking. Yeah, okay. Joanna.
Guess. Joanna, tell me, take a guess of what my birth sign is. So let me say this. So, I'm very real. I speak my mind. I speak what I'm saying. Because my big mission is to really get people to be comfortable to talk about sex, to release that stigma, release that shame, release that guilt about sexuality. So, I'm always talking about
sex. Scorpio.
I'm better than a Scorpio. Virgo, so I'm Virgo.
Virgo. Okay. Yeah. Very much.
Virgos love sex too. Scorpios do love sex, but Virgos do too.
Okay.
Ah.
So what? Wait a minute. It's good when you go back to. It's good for women to masturbate and not mix. Someone asked. I like the way they spelled that. Master and BAIT. Okay, I get the point. So they're saying, is it good for women to masturbate, but not for men to masturbate, or is it good for both?
Oh, no. I'm not. Yeah. It's good for both. Everyone can masturbate. Everyone should masturbate. The difference is women should masturbate way more than men. No, but the difference is men, it becomes a problem when you're masturbating to porn and you're doing it so much that you're training your body to come a lot quicker. Now, if you're consciously, as a man, consciously masturbating where you're bringing the energy up, I actually do teach men. So I talked about Kegel exercises for women. There's Kegel exercises for men as well. These Kegel exercises do help men that have premature ejaculation. So I teach men how to masturbate more consciously and bring that energy up. And I teach men Kegel exercises and different things like that. So when you're masturbating consciously and you're staying present in your body, focused on your body, there's nothing wrong with that. You can masturbate all you want. That's fine. You know, the issue becomes if you're watching porn and you're masturbating all the time and you're coming within 2 minutes, you're training your body to ejaculate more quickly. And so then you're creating a premature ejaculation for yourself,
So actually train men or work with men so that they don't need the blue pill anymore. So
yes.
they can be in their 50s and 60s and still have vitality and so forth.
Exactly. Yes. Or 70s.
Or 70s and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so are these classes group sessions or private sessions? Do you have workshops for men? And I know probably some men say, oh, we need a man to teach us how to do it, but not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. I mean, there's tons of men teaching women stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
the thing is that, each person has to go with who they feel comfortable with. If you want a man and you feel like you need a man, go to a man. There just happens to be more women doing this work than men. So that's the thing. What was your original question now? I forgot. Sorry.
About teaching men, in groups or individuals or?
Yeah. So I do individually and I do in group, If I'm doing it in group, you don't have to have your camera on. So if you want to be in group and you want to keep it private, have your camera off. That's completely fine.
Get the instruction.
You get the instructions, you learn how to do it. And then I always give the replay. You do it on your own convenience. Or if you prefer doing one-on-one, we could do one-on-one sessions as well. It's all up to the individual.
No, I think it's really good. It's really neat. I think there's a lot of probably a lot of sexual repression and so forth that goes on, a lot of pent up stuff that people deal with because of, not wanting to face the fact that there are issues that, that they need to address. And it seems to be sort of a taboo subject matter. So a lot of times, people don't, get into that because it's like, who can I talk to about that? Can I, tell?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. And for that reason, that's why groups are great, because you end up learning from each other. We get rid of that taboo. And then sometimes someone can ask a question that you're dealing with, but you didn't think about asking that question. So when we do group, a lot of times just the conversations help other people, and being able to hear the questions that other people say. So I really enjoy group. I think that that's a really good format to be able to do these courses.
So what my viewers should do is they should go to Prandhara Prem .com. Is that?
Yeah. So my the same that you see here, Prandhara Prem. My website is www.prandharaprem.com. On Instagram, I'm Prandhara Prem _Tantra. So you can find me at either of those two places. On my website at Prandhara Prem, my upcoming events have the information for my upcoming Tantra course. And
Okay.
if you, yeah, if you join, you could check periodically. But if you're on my Instagram, you'll see me post whatever courses I have coming up. I'm always doing something. Like I have tons of stuff all the time. People are like, Renee, you always got something going on. You always got some course, some workshop. So
So I
always,
think right there running across the bottom from
yes.
that.
Thank you. And I do want to say Prandhara Prem is my Tantra name. That's the name that I was given in my Tantra initiation. And that means to go with the flow of love and life. So I love that name, and I love my name Renee because Renee means reborn. So I love both of my names because I'm constantly being reborn and I'm constantly going with the flow of love and life. So I'm always just like Renee, aka Prandhara. So
That's good. And let you were your your ancestors and so forth. Are Haitian, right?
yeah.
It's Moorish too. You have, hence we talked about this a little earlier. Your medicine woman, or you prefer medicine woman to shaman.
hmm
So your shamanistic medicine woman, wise woman work.
hmm
So someone could come to you and you could basically figure out not only what's wrong going on with them, but what herbs and
So I'm very intuitive. It's interesting. I think all of us are intuitive, right? But we lose that. And so one of the things that was interesting growing up, I used to always have dreams and premonitions. They would always come true. I would always know whether to go someplace, whether not to go someplace. Um, then at some point, I never really talked about it because I'm like, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy. So I never really talked about it. And it wasn't until I started working with Reiki. When you do Reiki, your intuition opens up more. And then I started learning herbs. I've done a couple of courses here in Brazil. I did an online course as well through a school in New Mexico about different herbs and medicines and things like that. I use oracles. I don't do readings professionally. I just do them for friends, but they always come out right. And they're like, oh my God. So I'm always having friends. Can you come do a reading for me? So I'll do it. So I play around with it. And the reason why I say I don't like to use the word shaman because I feel like that word has been appropriated so much by people, just traditional Americans or Europeans or whatever, going someplace and learning something specific to indigenous culture or someplace native. And then they come out and say they're shaman and they charge tons and tons of money, you know. So I kind of feel a certain way about that. But yeah, in terms of like the medicine woman, energy healer, yeah, I do a lot of that work. I work a lot with energy work, different herbs, different things like that. Honestly, like I
how
do
about
so many different things. It's
shrooms
like
and the ayahuasca? That do you do that kind of work?
okay, yeah. So I am trained to lead ayahuasca ceremonies, but I have not. I feel like that is a huge responsibility, but I have tons of people asking me to lead. So I feel like that is a calling, and maybe one day I will. I do lead hape ceremonies. Hape is a medicine, a plant
I
medicine.
got happy here. I have
Yeah.
happy. I have
Oh,
my.
really?
I
Yeah.
got
Yes.
out
Yes.
the
Yes.
nose.
Up the nose, yeah. I know it's like tears come, that sting. I love it. I love it. So
Yes.
that I do. I'm also trained to be able to give the frog medicine, what we call in Brazil combo. I don't know. I forget what it's called in English. The English name of the frog, bufo. I think it's bufo medicine.
Never heard of
I
that
forget the
one.
name in the States. I'm so used to saying everything in Portuguese and speaking here a lot of times and that it's interesting. You forget words you're not saying all the time in English. But but I haven't administered that yet. But yeah, I feel like certain things like, is a huge, huge, huge responsibility. So you know, when that time comes, it'll come. But yeah,
Right.
I do medicine, plant medicine, herbs, different things like that, energy work. Yeah.
Yeah, a
I
lot.
work a lot too. Like, sometimes people will say, "Oh, I've been having problems in my neck," and I'm like, "Well, are you inflexible?" Yeah. Well, okay, because the neck represents inflexibility, right? So a lot of times when people come to me and they're, you know, they're having specific pain, then there's an emotional component to that, and then I ask them and I start talking to them about it, and so we do a lot of healing, just from even just getting understanding of what part of your body is hurting and then getting to the why and then doing the body work.
Wow, that's interesting. Let me see if there are any more questions or comments. DMT. What you I'm just saying, okay, good. Yeah, talking about signs. And what's your moon sign? Everybody wants to know what your moon sign is.
So, okay, so I'm a Virgo and my moon sign is Leo and rising is Cancer. No, no Scorpio within there.
Oh,
I got
yeah, they
Scorpio, I'm sure, in one of my houses.
were. Okay.
Okay, so
Well,
this person that's asking about my moon and my astrological sign, are they going to send me a reading?
it was two different people at once. One
Oh,
asked for astrological sign. A lot of people, some people actually did put down that they thought you were a Virgo. You
oh,
got Virgo,
really? Wow,
Edge,
they're
Scorpio,
good.
one Scorpio. Then somebody else said Libra or Virgo. Yeah, so they were in the ballpark. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Yeah,
yeah, but
I'm very much Virgo, Cancer, and Leo. I got that fire in me too, boy. I think that I was honestly, I think that's what made the sex good. I got the earth, the fire. Sorry,
I'm
sorry,
not
people. Close your ears.
anything. Look, look, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm an old woman, so listen
You
to.
are not old.
So, but it is it's.
You
I
still
think
in your prime, girl.
yeah,
You
because
got
I've been
many.
here from 120. I got what 55 more years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think this is a conversation that needed to be had, needs to be had more so, and that I thought of this when you said something maybe about an hour ago. I forgot about the healing or the sex and I immediately thought of Marvin Gaye had it right. When I get that
Really?
healing, I need sexual healing.
Yes.
And there was truth in that there is
Mhm.
healing in that in that act, in that coming together, in that release, if you will. And
Yes.
I think what has to happen, along with, from the guilt of the pleasure has to go away. They talk
Hmm.
about guilty pleasure. we we
Yes.
we can't, we don't need to have guilty pleasure. We just need, you're gonna have guilt or you're gonna have pleasure,
Right.
but you don't want guilty pleasure because that's a conflict in and of itself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. True.
And so I see Deborah Smith says, Renee, I will speak with you. She's a dear friend of mine. She's a dear
Mhm.
sister of mine. So okay. So
Okay, awesome. I look forward to hearing from you, Deborah.
yeah. I Prometheus L. I thank you. I'm gonna put this up so you see this comment. He said, Dr. G, you've had a lot of great shows. This is top 10, which is saying a lot.
Oh wow! Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Prometheus.
because I want the
Yeah.
brothers as well as the sisters to, get in touch with you, and because it's time out for us, having and suffering, if you will, in silence, being guilt. If you want to get your life together, then hey, we have those persons like yourself who are able to help us. And I know on your show, because when is you have a show, a weekly.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
remember you had your sister on about the yoni steam. The yoni, she has she makes those. I went to her site, her IG, and she actually makes them.
You She makes them.
Oh,
Yes. Little
yes.
ones. Yeah.
So when is
Yeah.
your show?
So my show is on Wednesdays. So it's on YouTube, and you can find me on YouTube if you search Prandhara Prem, or my name, Renée Adolphe. Either of those, you'll find my YouTube channel. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have I have my show, and it's always about sexuality, tantra. Tomorrow, I will not have it because I'm on vacation. Dr. G is special. So I'm
Thank
here on
you
her show.
so
But
much.
yeah, it's every Wednesday. So check me out on YouTube, and I'd love to have you watch one of my shows. It's so interesting being on this end because I'm almost never on this end. I'm always on the other end of the studio.
You're always
So,
and you know, so I remember I think the last show I watched, the sister was she was some type level of, she was a therapist also, I think, or but different, if
mhm.
I'm not mistaken. And her mother kept, we were both typing. You remember I was making comments. I think my
Right.
last, and it was on sexuality or something. But and sometimes you you say, oh, let me go over here when nobody knows me and I can ask my questions. But we gotta ask. If
Yes.
and having wanting to know and not ever being able to get the answer because you're afraid to ask. They say
True.
the only stupid question or dumb question is the one you didn't ask.
Right. Exactly. So I see here someone said maybe I was born in the year of the pig. Um, and I think I was born in the year of the rat, I believe, or ox. Yeah, I don't remember anymore now. But 1974. So if you know what that is, if you want to search that, let me know. Oh, somebody said DMT. Yeah, that ayahuasca.
he, he says he's a cusper of Libra and Virgo, so I have strong feminine and sexual energy.
Hmm.
What's the Dr. G? Khan Ali says, Dr. G been killing Leo Virgo seasons. Big up, Doc. Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank thank you. I appreciate you all for tuning in. I mean, I'm kind of working hard to bring information and discussion that is not necessarily something that people are going to have all the time. Like I said, we're going to ask the questions or make the comments that things you thought about and wouldn't say.
Hmm.
So I wasn't sure how the audience was going to react because we're always talking about more specifically things about this, that, and the third. But this is obviously this is something that even after we go off the air, I love the fact that it'll be on YouTube and people come back and they
Yeah.
watch and they'll get something from this. And I'm sure that it's going to be such that somebody will. I don't know who's calling me, but she's gonna have to wait till I'm off the air. But seriously, even the beauty of live streaming and recording is that even if you missed it, in the live, that it's still gonna have the same power and energy and impact for those who are gonna watch it, in the days, weeks, and months to come. And I know they will. They're like, oh, you're gonna like Dr. G, all these people from hither and yon, are contacting me, and that's what we want. I love it when my guests get inundated
Hmm.
with people who want their services.
Oh, let
That
me just add for so I was born 1974 and I just looked it up. So it's the tiger. So um
oh, you're in your
yeah.
you were
Yeah.
born the
So
year after I graduated from high school.
oh, that's so funny.
I feel so preserved. That better? I was getting. I didn't say old. I said preserved. So actually,
Nice.
let me see what we got here. I'm running here. Any more comments? Yeah. Okay. Dragon, fire, dragon. Somebody says, what?
Yeah.
1976? No, you said 1970, 74.
74.
1974. Yeah, 1974.
Yeah.
Um, they're saying that what you're talking about is more science.
It's all connected. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is Tantra, right? Tantra is the Sanskrit name because that's from India. But if you go to China, they have Taoism from China, right? So yeah, this is, so definitely this is more science. If you go to Africa, like within Africa, um, you see in the hieroglyphics or just different paintings and statues, sexual positions. So everybody has this sexual energy. Everybody talks about this stuff, but it's Tantra is just the name of what I've learned from India. But yeah, I'm definitely more keeps coming up for me. And so I definitely feel like that's something I need to study. So I will be looking into more science.
Great. Well, listen, I was born in the year of the goat, so I think that stands for the year of the greatest of all times. 19,
Yes.
the year of the goat, the greatest. Yeah, that's what I think. If anybody, in case y'all wanted to know, I know you didn't, but I'm a goat.
So, someone says, Prometheus Elsa Sumatran tiger specifically. Thank you. And then does it connect to Islam? Um, I don't know, but I know that I was in Atlanta one time and I met a guy who's more as well, Dr. Gabriel Hernandez L. And I was doing some breath work with him, and it was very similar to breath work that I learned through Tantra. So I know that everything is connected. Everything is connected. Um, so I say that it's all connected.
Well, I would love the next time you're doing a workshop with the breath that I would know and I can post it, and I would love to be a part of it. Is one of the things I struggle with personally is with that deep breathing because I've had, I as a shaman, I've read a book by a shaman who talked about energies that sometimes attach themselves and their
Mm-hmm.
other entities' energy. And my even though this entity had already transitioned way before I came on scene. My grandmother, had lung problems. As a matter of fact, she transitioned due to tuberculosis, and I've had most of my life issues with inflammation or phlegm or breathing and so
Mm-hmm.
forth way before COVID. And
Right.
so I realized after I read the book that sometimes the energies of others who have gone on will attach themselves, and so a person might, in the case he talked about a guy whose personality completely changed, and they eventually tied it to the fact that his father had transitioned. So now he was smoking, drinking a lot. He had his whole attitude changed. And it turned out his father's spirit energy was attached to him. And so when his father wanted a cigarette, he was smoking. And when his father
Mm-hmm.
wanted a drink, he was drinking. They had to actually do a ceremony to detach that spirit, that entity from him, and then the
Mm-hmm.
issue went away.
So yeah, I actually just had to do that on Sunday. I had a lady who had an entity attached to her, and this was actually my first time doing this virtually. I've never done it virtually, but I did it virtually, and it worked well. And so and that's something that's important to think about, because the same thing, when you have sex with someone, you can take on energy. So if this person has some negative energy on them, you can take it on yourself, which is why it's really important too to be conscious and aware of who you're allowing inside of your energetic field. You shouldn't just have sex with anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a question from Joanna Heath. She says, with your sexual knowledge, what's the zodiac sign? What zodiac sign, I guess, do you tend to gravitate towards, I guess, more?
Yeah. Definitely Virgo and Scorpio.
Oh,
Definitely
Virgo.
Virgo and Scorpio. Um, But Pisces as well. Pisces as well. Yeah. Pisces, Virgo, Scorpio.
Pisces are good people.
Pisces are good people. Yeah. Yeah, I
I mean,
really, really like Pisces.
I heard somebody,
Gemini, If
yeah,
you're a Gemini, go far away from me.
yeah. Somebody told me that Pisces, according to what they read, were closet freaks and what was the other word? They were freaks and something else. Freaks and cheaters. Freaks and cheaters.
Freaks and cheaters.
Yeah, I'm a Pisces.
Are you?
I'm like, dare you say that? You know,
Right.
I have more. No, I'm serious. I have very, very, very stimulating. I talk to so many people in the course of a day, not just a week, in the course of a day. Many of them are men.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has ever gone, south with the conversation. But there are some men that, and a few women, that I can have the most stimulating and fulfilling conversations, that when I'm finished that conversation, it's like, woo. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost, because
Yes.
it was such a, like, again, we said this earlier, it was the mind. It was a meeting of the mind. It didn't have anything to do with sex and anything to do
Right.
with sexuality, but it had everything to do with connecting energetically. Yes, we both Reiki. I'm a Reiki practitioner. You're a master. So I'm gonna come see you about my master certificate, because I'm ready.
Okay.
After 5 years, it's time for me to go to the next level. But
Yeah.
but I'm saying it was energetic. It's an energetic connection. Some people I just connect with that way, and there's nothing sexual about it. It's just a meeting of energies that have a commonality, and that's, even my co-host on my show, Open Circle Gathering, Brother Amanero, we met on something totally different. And I knew immediately that we were supposed to be doing something together, and we both agreed. And now we have a show that we do on the same platform called Open Circle Gathering. But it was just such, a connection of a meeting of the minds,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, when you can deal with and a lot of the people that I deal with are much, much younger than me, because it has no age. It's like time, space, all that stuff. Age doesn't come into factor. It's just, where is your mind? I talked to a 17-year-old, 16-year-old a couple weeks ago, and was just amazed at this young man. His mother was there, and we were talking about silver, but the conversation was so deep. I'm 65, he's 16 or 17, but we could meet, and that's how, we have lost those connections with people.
Mm-hmm.
Lost those kinds of connections. And he was giving me his take on what was happening with the youth of this time. And who better to tell you what's going on than the ones that are going through it?
Right. That's so true. So, I want to go back to what you were saying just before that, like if I have any, breath work coming up. I do. October 5th, I have a 4-week tantric breathwork course that's going to be starting. It's 4 weeks. So if you go to my website, you'll see it on there at the www.prandharaprem.com. Yeah, so I have all of that information.
What day of the week is that?
There. It's a Monday. So it will be 4 Mondays. And it really is a good base for Tantra. So it just really lays that foundation for any other work that you're going to be doing. Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been great. This has been absolutely fantastic, and the internet gods have been kind to us.
Yes, Ashe.
Have been kind to us in that we are able to. Let me see. Okay, I'm cautious of people that's why I'm cautious of people I hang around with. Some people have energy vamps. Yeah, they sure are. Mm-hmm. There are people who will suck you dry. They will just bleed you of all your energy, but you have to be able to, one thing I learned in Reiki too, with my Reiki master at the time, was just that if you walk in a room, I love this. You have to decide whether you want to be a thermostat or you're a thermometer.
Yes.
And I need to be a thermostat, because a thermometer, you're just going to register the temperature of whatever is going on, but a thermostat, you're going to
regulate it.
You're going to regulate. Yeah. So you have to learn how to make your energy such that if you walk into a hostile environment, and before you know it, everybody's smiling, because your loving energy has brought balance. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have to learn how to be a thermostat and not a thermometer, because too many of us are thermometers, and that's the problem.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
So true.
So listen, I'm going to give you, in these last 4 or 5 minutes, anything you want to close out with, because this has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm loving the fact that those who are on here are loving it too. So
yes, yeah. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for inviting me on, having me on here. Thank you to everyone that's been coming on and asking questions, making comments. It was great. I really enjoy having these conversations and connecting with others. So this was awesome. Again, just thank you. Thank you for being patient with me on vacation, because I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. And thank you to the internet gods for making this work. And yeah, so just add me on Instagram at Prandhara Prem _Tantra. Facebook, I'm Renée Adolphe, Adolphe. And go to my site if you're interested in doing the Tantra breathwork course or any type of Tantra work with me. Let me know, hit me up. I'm here, I'm around. I live in Brazil, but I travel a lot. I'll actually be in DC October 1st to the 13th. And I think I'm going to do a cacao ceremony. I'm organizing that now.
Well, you're close to us. You're close to me. I'm like 2 hours from DC, so that's close.
Oh, really? Come to my cacao ceremony. You'd love it. Cacao works on opening up the heart chakra. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm in that process now, and yeah. So I'll be there for 2 weeks, and then I'll be back here. But I'm always traveling. So yeah, that's it. Thank you again.
Wow. Yeah. Look, if you go back and look at past, you said episode 10.
Yes. So season 10, episode 10 of Lifetime's Married at First Sight. You'll see me on there as the tantric couples therapist.
Isn't that fantastic? And here you're up close and personal with her right here on Office Hours with Dr. G. I know they feel, what I love about the show is that I want the guests, and these are my kinfolk that are on here. I want them to feel like, hey, we just had a up close and personal fireside chat with that person that they wanted to hear from, or didn't know they wanted to hear from, but we're glad they did.
Right.
I'm sure you gained a lot of new fans, and people are going to look you up, and I think there are going to be some that are going to really engage for your services, because we all need. We all need we all need healing in various areas of our life, and some things just need to be discussed that we've swept under the rug. And I think this has been a good time of actually just opening up and being honest. And it worked with both male and female. And I'm sure you do God's work and all that stuff. If we want to do, you do classes on the yoni and so forth. And I'm waiting for. I ordered a yoni steam thing, because old yonis need work too.
Yes, so true. And I was also on Soledad O'Brien. So Soledad O'Brien interviewed me as well. Yeah. So
what show was that?
On her, a matter of fact, she was interviewing me about my work and being here in Brazil. So that can also be found on YouTube. Yeah. So I gave you the link to my YouTube thing in the private chat.
Is it on your page? Is it on your page?
No, I just typed my YouTube link in a private chat. If you can copy and paste it. Yeah. Prometheus asked if you're going to post my link. So I put that as well in the private chat. Maybe you could share that. And that'll take you to my
is that it right there? I just think, let me see, let me put it up. I just posted it up. I should have typed that it was your channel, but
okay.
Let me see. I'm gonna say RENEE Adolphe OLPHA YouTube channel.
And let me just give you, and then I'll give you my Instagram as well, so you can post. Just because Prometheus asked if you're gonna share the links, then you can just share that on the
All right, so we're putting her YouTube channel link. I put it in twice, and which one is it? The top one or the bottom one? 59. Oh, this one.
And then the bottom one, the last one I just put is the Instagram.
Okay.
And so, yes, I've used Astrology Cafe. That's actually where I got all of my stuff. They're good.
Okay. So Renee Adolphe, OLPHA IG. I had to learn all these, these little what do these letters stand for? Because I was seeing IG and this, that, and FB. Oh,
Right?
there you are. You have these things. It's 2 hours, and we are.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what happened to my music, y'all. We always go out with my music. I'm hoping that I didn't mess my stuff up, but I'm going to try to click it going on.
Okay.
I'm going to try to click it going off, but this has been wonderful. Let me just make sure that everybody good. Everybody's good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was awesome.
I'm gonna go and sign up for the breath work because I need to, work on that and maybe some other stuff too.
All right, love to have you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you. It looks like another comment popped up. Let me make sure. I don't want to miss anybody.
All right.
Oh, wasn't undermining your info. Oh no. Oh, I think that's what you thought. Somebody was saying I wasn't undermining your info, Queen. No, that's not what you thought. You were just acknowledging that. Yeah, you do use that. But no, not a problem. We appreciate
not a problem.
Much love and peace to you. Don't know whether we're going out with Dr. G's music because for some reason it didn't want to work today. Love you too, Sister Deborah. She said she loves us both and she's going to be getting in touch with you. So thank you so much. I'm going to enjoy the rest of your vacation. And we have to do this again.
Yeah, we do. This is great. And it went by fast.
Yes,
I was like, how are we going to talk for 2 hours?
2 hours and 1 minute now. See?
Yes.
Time flies when you're having fun, and we had fun.
It does. It does.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And
thank you.
Yeah, thank all of you. And we may go out with no music because we didn't come in with any, but it still was a great show. Love you. Thank you.
Love you all.
All right.